Let's wrap a little bit. Oh, fuck, I hate, why does it fucking do that? Rotate, you son of a bitch. Motherfucker. If this is the first vlog you're seeing, I live here. This is the back of the house. And, this is the yard. Um, you might call me homeless. I don't. Uh, and um, and yeah, we'll try to post. Oh gosh, people walking by, I look like an idiot. Hello, my fellow risers. Let's. I got some videos for you now, so let's take a look at a couple of those, or maybe one. Boom. Just left Emma House to submit some paperwork so we can get some monthly money. Hey, Brady, get over here. Brady, now, come here. So that would be a reason to tie him up. But you see the size of this path, right? So a jogger's running along, and Ray he gets in his way. I mean, he didn't even like jump into his way. He boy, come on. They were running towards each other, and the jogger was like, "You should, you should put him on a leash." For what? Because you don't know how to go around another being. People are so dumb. Now, yeah, if he runs into that bicycle lane, absolutely, that could cause some problems. And he just did. I mean, there were no bikes there, but he still did. Then I went to the domain, I went to the restaurant, I'm gonna start calling it the maiden. It's like the word oh, maidome. No, maiden. Yeah. It's maison is French. What am I talking about? None of this matters. I was at the fucking restaurant and they called me so I could help them with cutting down a tree. And that was great because Sada was there, but I saw Sada last night. We gotta talk about that. So anyway, so I went over there, and I think Sada's kind of lazy. He always wants to use the chainsaw, and so I just cut the tree. I mean, they already cut it down, and we had to cut it in half. So he was real impressed. So that's cool. Yeah, so I just helped them out, and so that's what you're watching now. A couple of videos of that. I mean, obviously, when I'm recording, I wasn't helping, and I didn't ask them to record me. So, and then I came back here, and I still have some stuff to do in the green room, some sort of renovations. But here's what I did. I just cleaned up a little bit in there. And I've installed the hammock, as you can see. Right, so Sada, so a couple nights ago, or last night, I went over there, and Sada and I think we sorted our issues, right? Julian was telling me that there's this war between me and Sada, and I was like, no, there's no war, he's just an asshole, if he's complaining about me, all this stuff. And so then one time I see Sada and he waves at me. I'm like, that's weird. I didn't think we were waving each other because I thought he had stolen my package and just some things that he had said about me that that we were mooching off of the restaurant stuff, which in some ways we are. Of course, we're taking electricity, water, but we're totally happy to help, so we're not mooching. And they just don't call us out. Sada says, oh, I don't need those guys. Anyway, so Sada waves at me. So, that's strange. So I go over and I'm like, hey, so can we talk? What's going on? He says he doesn't want to talk. But I was like, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. I start to leave, and then we ended up talking, kind of. And basically he tells me, after I called him an asshole and a bunch of names, and I said, why? He says he didn't come here to make friends or enemies. I'm like, but you've made an enemy. And I already talked about this in another video. And I was like, and he said, he was like, well, that he can do something to me if I do something to him. And I was like, yeah, but we don't have the same limits. It's kind of a cool dick swinging thing. He told me he doesn't have limits. So I was like, oh, okay, so maybe we do have the same limits. I don't really know what my limits are. I've never really done much to people. I've never really needed to, but I've been ready to, but then I always find a reason not to because I end up understanding where they're coming from or whatever. And so anyway, so I find out that his problem is actually with Alex, apparently. He thinks Alex is taking advantage of Julian and stuff. And so the other night, Alex and Sada are both there at the restaurant and at the Maiden. And so it's like, hey, you want to talk to Alex? And he's like, no. And then he comes out of his little office thing, and he just stares at us because we're outside. And I go, what's up? He goes, what's going on? Like, what's the problem? And I go, no problem. I thought you guys could talk. I was like, I don't like to have problems, so I like to try to solve problems. And he goes, oh, okay, so you're a therapist? Oh, okay, I didn't know you had changed careers. And it actually wouldn't be much of a career change because it kind of is something that I sort of, do. And I did study neuroscience, and I have done a lot of thinking about how the mind works. Um, and also, you don't fucking need any of that to just be interested in having a conversation, trying to sort things out. You just need to be reasonable and care. Anyway, but yeah, it was cool that I got to work within the day, and that was nice. So let's wrap. Um, wow, 5 minutes, and we're done talking about the day. But here's what we really want to talk about. All right, this is a little bit better. So here's what we really want to talk about. How many? I got to do a video series. I'm so uncomfortable. I got to do a video series. Jesus Christ. I got to do a video series. So that's the home. I got to do a video series talking about interviewing some of the guys who live out here and asking how many of them would actually want an apartment or a standard home. Um, because so one of the things that made me think about this was that I was at Emma's today, and I met this Bulgarian guy, and I don't remember why he started talking to me. He just starts talking to me in English. Maybe I don't know who he had heard me speaking English to, but so he tells me that he's in a hotel right now. See, we got some not extremely cold, but it was like in the 20s Fahrenheit. It was below zero. Celsius. So it got down to like -6 Celsius. So the night before that cold came, all the tent dwellers got visits saying, hey, we're getting hotel rooms for people because it's going to get real cold. And I rejected the offer because, first of all, I don't, I'm not a fucking namby-pamby. Second of all, I came out here for a reason. I came out here to be out here. You know, I'm not going to run because it gets not even below 0 Fahrenheit. And then also the dogs. What am I going to do with the dogs? I didn't honestly think about that. As soon as they said hotel, I was like, nah. And so the Bulgarian guy, he asked me, he told me he's in a hotel and it's great. They get coffee every morning, they get lunch, it's great service. I don't know why they're still in the hotel. It's been in the 60s the past couple weeks, or the past, yeah, 10 days. And so he asked me why I turned down the offer, and I was like, oh, I like being out here and I have a good blanket and stuff. And he goes, oh, okay, so you're well equipped. Um, I mean, I don't think there's any reason why at this point he doesn't have a good blanket, but maybe and I just have, I mean, my mom sends me money, so, so I guess I'm just privileged. I just feel like a blanket, well, I guess it's not really an important purchase considering it doesn't really get that cold. Anyway, and Alex doesn't even really think of himself as homeless. I don't really think of myself as homeless. I've got a fucking home. I mean, I've got a better home than I had when I had an apartment. I'm outside, got the sun shining on me. I mean, this is such a dope place. Um, and I've got everything I need here, um, except for electricity and Wi-Fi. Well, Wi-Fi is the main one because I have electricity sort of. And so Alex, he's been out here for 8 years. He's happy out here. Um, and people talk about the homeless epidemic in LA and stuff, and also home to people or soapies. We'll just call them soapies. You know what soapies are, right? Society people. And so soapies, they think, oh man, it's gonna be so hard. They don't have a roof over their head. I look at a fucking roof. You're looking at it right now. They say, oh, he doesn't have a lock on his door. I got something better than a lock. I promise you, I've got something better than a lock. Where you at? Where you at, lock? Neo. Oh yeah, look at that's a lock. I promise you, that's a lock. I've got a perfectly fine lock, right, buddy? Can you show them how? No, Can you show them how great of a lock you are? Can you give them a little bark or something? Can you give them one of those or something? No, okay. But I promise you, you walk up on this cat, my lock's gonna engage. So, where were we? Right. So soapies are all like, oh man, and they want to put people in homes and stuff. Fuck homes, bro. This is a home. Fuck your soapy home. So I wonder how many people actually even would want to live in a home. And the thing is, of course, what the homeless people need is not a home. They have a home. A lot of them. I mean, some of them literally are sleeping in the street, so they don't. But that's because they've got so many mental issues that they haven't, gotten themselves a tent or even just like fucking stolen a tent and moved out into the woods. There's plenty of space out here, right? Um, so yeah, what they need is mental health support, maybe showers so that they can get a work a job. So it is hard to have a job if you can't shower. But then also, and my dad made this point, obviously a lot of people just can't work jobs, right? Like ever since the Industrial Revolution, we've got this expectation for all humans to be able to show up at a certain place at a certain, and a lot of people, a lot of soapies take these skills for granted. Like I don't have these skills. That's why I'm out here. I mean, yeah, I can show up, I can hold down a job for probably about the longest I've held down a job was about a year and a half before I end up getting fired or whatever because of interpersonal conflicts or, so there are all these skills that soapies take for granted. The ability to show up at a place on time, to not forget basic things. My dad, he was driving for FedEx, he'll leave the back of his truck open. I mean, he held that down for over a decade and a half or something. Yeah, like 15 years. But he made plenty of mistakes, left the back of his truck open, a bunch of packages fell out, he would lose his scanner or whatever. And he would have all sorts of interpersonal issues for very different reasons, but yeah. And so ever since the Industrial Revolution, as my dad said, there's this expectation that everybody can show up at a place at a certain time, do tasks given to them by another person, interact with strangers in a way that pleases those strangers called customers and bosses and stuff, and then just not forget certain things along the way. When I was a delivery driver, I would forget the sauce or something. I kept getting in trouble. So there's this really sort of unhealthy expectation right now. In order to be a productive member of society, you need to be a certain type of person when there are a lot of other types of people, or maybe another type of person who's who just can't be like that. And we don't, it's like we tell them we want them to contribute, but we have no room for them to contribute. So of course what ends up happening is they end up in a tent, using government benefits or whatever, because there's no more peg for them to, or there's no more peg hole, you know what I'm trying to fucking say, there's no space, there's no niche, there's no keyhole for them, which is of course why I hope for society that where art fees are valued as much as soapies are, where people can sort of live freely, paint. There are painters out here, photographers out here, um, but it's just hard to, if you want to be a successful artist, you can't just do your art unless it's absolutely, no, even if it's absolutely amazing, you got to get lucky that someone discovers it. uh, you gotta call the right people, you gotta make contacts, you gotta show up at events and all this stuff. And art fee should be like, art fee talent is like oil, we need soapies to drill it, you know we need, if I mean, I think that, I see very few YouTubers. I mean, I see YouTubers that make much more engaging videos than me, but that have more important things to say, or that are as, even as charismatic as I am. Not necessarily, right? Or maybe maybe I'm totally wrong. I'm just tooting my own horn here. Just toot. You can't see the selfie stick. Anyway, and that's not really what tooting means. But anyway, I'm just tugging my own horn. So anyway, I mean, there's so much talent out there, but the talented don't necessarily know how to bring it to the table. So there's a lot of talent out here that if you just sort of, if there was a system in place to extract that value. Someone who, there would be like caseworkers. I've got 5 art fees on my docket. There you got like a social worker who looks out for 5 art fees to make sure that they get their, basic necessities, and then also they go to them like, hey, have you produced anything? If you have, give it to me, and I'll see, how I can introduce it to the world, and blah blah blah. Managers. We need agents and managers. Yeah. Um, there's other stuff I want to say about that, but we'll leave it there. Um, we're in our adolescent phase as humans. We're past the kid phase. We've learned we're domesticating animals. We've got the agricultural thing down. We've got internet and communication across the world. Um, we can provide for ourselves and so on. So we're no longer kids. We've got an abundance of food. Of course, getting food to people who need it. Okay, so we're adolescents. So we're in our. I would say we're in our adolescent phase. Of course, you know whenever you try to put a label on a certain, like, a phase in history, a current phase in history, of course that's very difficult because you can't really trust your perspective. Maybe everybody at every point in history has always said, everybody who can see the future, not literally see the future, but who can see that we are not a perfect society, or we are not, this is not it, this is not humanity, that there is a future humanity that's going to be very different and much better. So anybody who can see that may say that we're in our adolescent phase. Actually, yes, definitely, because at whatever point you're at. So what is adolescence? Basically saying, I've got some stuff figured out, but there's a lot more stuff I need to figure out. So actually, anybody, if you ask somebody 2,000 years ago what phase we are in the lifetime of humanity, or in the development of humanity, they would probably say adolescent. We've got the agriculture and fire thing figured out. We've got the agriculture and fire thing figured out, and now we're just, we just got some evolution to do. They couldn't even have imagined what real adolescence was like. So maybe we're really just kids. I won't say we're adult. Well, maybe we're even fucking in our 20s. I don't really know. So it's useless what I said about being adolescents. All I'm saying is that, or maybe this adolescent phase has been an ongoing since for the last 12,000 years, ever since the agricultural revolution. And then maybe we hit sort of 1718 with the industrial revolution. But what a coincidence that I just happened to exist when we hit 18. No, and then with internet, so maybe we'll say we're 21, and we still need to go to college and figure out a lot of shit. We're a young 21. We did a couple years of community college. Now we need to go to real college and figure some shit out. Yeah. So, happy 21st. Have a drink. I wish I had a drink. All right. And that's what my caseworker would provide for me, is my alcohol, so that I can think and relax. All right, good night. Not good night, but bye. I'm gonna go to odds later, so I got some more videos. You'll see, whatever. But I don't think they'll be speaking videos. How am I gonna do that? Or maybe you're already watching them. Maybe you've been watching them. But I just feel this is such a cool shot, isn't it? Just seeing me in my hammock. I'm looking handsome. But you probably saw enough of that. So maybe you're looking at me hanging out at odds now. Oh gosh. Oh, gosh. All right. Bye. Oh, and one more thing. Fuck uploading my videos in order. So you know what we're gonna start doing? Yeah. Actually, that thought hadn't been fully developed until now. Or maybe there's more development to go. That's the thing about perspective. Right? You always think you're at. I feel like we're always biased. Think we're at the very specific point, at the 50% mark. Of course, the adolescence is at 50% mark. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna start doing. This may be the first vlog that I've posted since October. And so, if you don't understand some of the things I talked about, well, nobody's watching this shit. But by the time I have followers, hopefully I've got everything up. And then you go to the playlist, to the vlog playlist, to the Daily Cyl playlist. That's what this is called. Stop saying vlog. It's your Daily Cyl. So you go to your Daily Cyl playlist, and that's where everything's in order. So, because I always wanted everything to be in order by the publishing date. You don't give a shit about this. So anyway, so if this is the first vlog you're seeing, I live here, and yeah, we'll try to post. Oh gosh, people walking by, I look like an idiot. Yeah, so we'll try to post. Whatever try to post like 2 videos a day or whatever. No, that's absurd. That's absurd. But we're gonna be posting things out of order.